Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining me in this session, Right Data, Wrong Person, Preventing Human Error in Email. My name is Betsy Williams. I'm a senior product marketer here at Abnormal. I'm excited to walk you through the session today. Today, we're going to talk about misdirected email. You'll learn why misdirected email is a high-impact problem that's so often overlooked, as well as why traditional controls fall short. We'll discuss why before send guardrails can help close that gap, as well as a practical rollout playbook. And lastly, we'll talk about how abnormal misdirected email prevention puts these principles into action with minimal effort. Misdirected emails are actually more common than many people realize. They're legitimate emails sent to unintended recipients. They're generally not intended to be malicious, but they can lead to sensitive data exposure, compliance risk, and costly remediation. I'm sure everyone in the audience has experienced this. Maybe it was an autocomplete lookalike mistake. Perhaps you're moving too fast and you select the wrong name. Maybe you've attached the wrong attachment to send to this individual or customer. Sometimes it might be a case of somebody has a similar name, or you might be confusing an internal Jonathan with an external Jonathan, as you can see here. There's a major risk associated with misdirected emails. Misdirected emails can have a huge impact on the organization. It's actually the #1 cause of accidental data loss. And these incidents can violate GDPR, HIPAA, FINRA rules, and more. It's actually the top reported GDPR violation. And it's a known blind spot. 41% of organizations learn about misdirected emails when it's reported by the recipient. Can you imagine that you have this risk surface area that you only find out about when the recipient lets you know? It's a huge problem. Abnormal conducted our own research of 300 security leaders and practitioners, and we were able to validate what we've heard from the market. 96% of these organizations had experienced data loss from misdirected email in just the last year, and 95% of them reported measurable business impact. Teams spent over 400 hours annually managing false positives tied to the solutions that they're currently using to fill this gap. And that's just it. Legacy tools are falling short. They don't fill the gap. There's really two main reasons. One is human behavior, and the other is technology limitations. When we think about human behavior, we're talking about autocomplete lookalikes, similar names, wrong attachments, internal and external names that might be similar. The reality is that technology just doesn't understand the context. Teams are spending so much time with false positives or finding these incidents because legacy tools just aren't built to find misdirected emails. That's in part because of human behavior as well as a gap in technology. When we think about human behavior and how that impacts misdirected email, think about it. Sometimes you just select the first autocomplete that comes up. Again, I mentioned similar names or attaching the wrong attachment for the wrong individual. Maybe there was something that you meant to send internally and you accidentally sent it externally because the names were so close. With legacy tools that rely on static, rules-based systems, they just don't understand the context that's trying to be communicated in these emails, and so they don't catch misdirected email. Other tooling creates a lot of false positives and really just a lot of noise and extra burden on the SOC team. And lastly, outbound risk is just largely under-monitored compared to inbound. In order for modern solutions to successfully catch misdirected email, you need to start with a behavioral AI baseline. You'll need a system that can not only learn those normal sender-recipient patterns, but also understands context and metadata to flag anything that looks unusual. When something is unusual, you need a lightweight alert to give that sender the ability to take some time to review. In order to make sure that those emails don't reach the unintended recipient, you'll want something that offers a short delay or a quarantine before sending. And then you want to put the remediation in the hands of the end user. This will allow the sender to cancel or release the email after they have had the chance to review, and it also creates an auditable record for the SOC team without creating any additional bottlenecks. Rolling out a misdirected email prevention solution really just takes 3 simple steps. First, you need time to baseline your risk using historical outbound patterns that will allow a system to understand what normal looks like and what's abnormal. Next, you'll want to pilot in read-only mode. Not only will this help to minimize end-user friction, it'll also give your team the opportunity to understand how many false positives you may see, what kind of noise may be created, and to build confidence in the solution itself. Lastly, when you're ready to roll this out and block emails for review, you'll want to do so in phases, perhaps starting with your highest risk parts of the business. This will help minimize disruption as you roll out your change management playbook. Now let's talk about Abnormal's misdirected email prevention. This is our new solution to help prevent that accidental data loss that come from misdirected emails. Using AI detection, we can identify email mistakes with behavioral AI that looks at not just recipient context, but communication patterns and metadata as well. If we do find something that looks suspicious, we automatically route those emails to Microsoft's native quarantine before they reach the wrong inbox. And then we'll alert your end users with guidance as to why something may have been flagged and give them the opportunity to delete or confirm those messages without the need for SOC team intervention. Here's a look at the product itself. This is a high-level view of all emails flagged by the misdirected email prevention solution. You'll get a high-level view into why each message was flagged, and you'll have the opportunity to click in for more information. Within this view, you can get a detailed analysis as to why the email itself was flagged. You can see the email content itself, provided you have the RBAC controls to do so. You'll also have the opportunity to see the audit log, which will show you all actions that have been taken. For example, if the end user has decided to delete that email or send that email, that will show up in your log. And as I mentioned, we put remediation in the hands of the end users so that they can self-correct their mistakes. This is an example of an email that an end user might see. It lets them know what email was flagged, why we flagged it, and gives them that opportunity to review. After review, they can choose to send that email anyways, or they can cancel the sending to prevent any unwanted accidental data loss. It's an easy-to-use solution that minimizes the impact on the SOC team and puts power in the hands of the sender to make the determinations of which emails should be sent. Let's take a look at what this looks like in action with a brief demo of the Abnormal misdirected email prevention solution. In this example, Renee West sent an email with the subject Confidential Employee Incentives Proposal for 2025. She sent this email to a Jonathan Green. Abnormal AI flagged this email because we actually think it was sent to the wrong person. As you can see in the email that Renee would receive, we've explained to her that yes, the recipient, Jonathan Green, does match an internal employee, but the email address that you sent belongs to someone outside of the company. Because this includes the keyword confidential, we can assume that this may contain sensitive company information that was actually intended for internal recipients. As such, we've flagged the email and sent Renee a notification, allowing her the chance to review that email and make a selection as to whether she wants to continue sending it or cancel sending that. When she cancels sending, she'll just be asked to confirm one more time for audit log purposes. As an admin, this is your view from the Abnormal portal. Within the outbound log, you get a high-level view of all emails that are flagged by misdirected email prevention. You can see a quick understanding of the subject, senders, the intended recipient, as well as an analysis as to why it was flagged and what actions have been taken. In the example that we just reviewed, if we click in, we can get some more details. Here you can see a more detailed analysis as to why we flagged this email. Again, we think that Jonathan Green was an autofill mistake and that this potentially contained sensitive company information that was intended to stay internal and not to external recipients. If you have the appropriate RBAC controls, you do have the ability to view the email content for more context. And then you'll also have the ability to see this activity log, which will show you all actions taken related to the email. First, the email was flagged by Abnormal, then routed to Microsoft Quarantine while Renee was notified. And then you can see that Renee elected to go ahead and cancel that email. If Renee chose to send the email, that would show here as well. That brings us to the end of this session. Thank you for taking the time to talk about misdirected email prevention today.